we can find more of those bilateral arrangements with countries that are significant and are significant sources of illegal migration, then I think that will have more of a practical effect on reducing numbers. Rwanda is a small subset of a policy relating to illegal migration, which is, of course, itself a subset of the wider migration debate that we're having
Yeah.
here in the UK. The bill had its second reading before Christmas. That was the in principle decision whether or not the bill should carry on its stages through the Commons. And we've now reached committee stage, which more often than not is dealt with by a committee of the Commons upstairs in one of the committee rooms. But because this bill has a constitutional significance, it's being dealt with in the main chamber, on the floor of the House, as we say. So all MPs will have an opportunity to debate it. If the bill is not amended in any way, it will then go straight to a third reading debate, which will be, again, of course, subject to votes. And it may well be that then the bill will finish its stages in the coming week and then go to the House of Lords for further consideration.
And you have put down some amendments to it. I mean, lots of MPs have, that they all vary. But just explain what exactly you would like to see in terms of those changes.
Well, look, in a nutshell, I think less is more when it comes to creating statute law. The more terminology, the more phrases, the more clauses we put in, the more you invite legal debate and, dare I say, litigation on the meaning of words. And I think that the government's intention here is clear. They want Rwanda, the treaty that they signed with Rwanda before Christmas, to come into practical effect here in the UK. There's a procedure that deals with the coming into law of the treaty. That's a separate thing. This is all about now how the new arrangements would work in UK law. And they want Rwanda to be deemed, that is, conclusively deemed to be a safe country, and that the processes that exist to deal with illegal migrants in Rwanda will be deemed to be sufficiently safe in order to allow them to be dealt with in that country. Some exceptions for individual cases, perhaps if somebody is terminally ill or pregnant or similarly vulnerable. I think that makes sense. Really, the debate is about the extent to which this bill will work. Some of my colleagues feel that they need to go much further in order to exclude the operation of the courts. I think that in itself just sets up more legal argument and will probably delay the implementation of this policy. In other words, delay planes
Yeah.
getting to the air and getting to Rwanda.
I mean, some of the so-called right-wing amendments, we'll call them that to try and differentiate, but from your colleagues on the right of the party, they do want to toughen up the bill. They don't think it's strong enough at the moment. If some of those pass, and I accept that it is less likely, would you still vote for the bill?
No, I think the bill goes as far as it can, and perhaps a little bit further for my taste, to work within the rule of law. I think the more you try and use exceptional arguments to say that this is an exceptional case, therefore we should be disapplying the operation of the courts, and saying that notwithstanding this and notwithstanding that, we will plough on. I think we start to erode that mutual respect that needs to exist between Parliament and indeed our court system, and start to
Yeah.
undermine the fabric of our constitution. We went through Brexit. It was an exceptional period of time. There were lots of stresses and strains that I was involved with. I don't think we need to carry on that mentality now that we are through that period of constitutional tension.
I mean, you are a former Justice Secretary. There are around 56,000 illegal migrants who entered the UK after the Rwanda bill became law. They're currently in limbo because they can't all be sent to Rwanda. I mean, nobody can be at the moment, but even if they could, all 56,000 obviously couldn't be. But technically, they're not allowed to stay. So what should be done with them, do you think?
Well, like many other countries, we have a problem here in that we have a number of people, not just people waiting for with their cases to be determined, but people who have had their cases determined and who are not asylum. They're not refugees. They've been asylum seekers that have been refused that. But the countries of origin will very often just not recognise who these people are. They don't want them back. They refuse to acknowledge their existence. It's only through bilateral agreements that we will change that. And that's why the Prime Minister's agreement with Albania last year, I thought, was a game changer. Numbers have reduced dramatically, not just in terms of people coming over, but also increased in terms of people being sent back to the country of origin. If we can find more of those bilateral arrangements with countries that are significant and are significant sources of illegal migration, then I think that will have more of a practical effect on reducing numbers. Rwanda is a small subset of a policy relating to illegal migration, which is, of course, itself a subset of the wider migration debate that we're having
Yeah.
here in the UK.